What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Please don't pay attention to the shirt. There's been more than like 3 different videos right now. It's been a long day of doing nothing but recording and filming, okay? Let me breathe. For today's video, I'm going to actually be doing something that I normally don't do on this channel. Granted, this channel is a gaming channel, so all you gotta do is just hear me talk like a video game dweeb. But for today's video is gonna be film review and discussion about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I will preface this by saying, did you click on this video expecting for there to not be spoilers? Because if so, you might want to click off this video and come back to this after you finish watching the movie. Also, I'll go ahead and let it be known, I have not seen many of these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I've only seen Infinity War, Endgame, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, WandaVision, some of Loki, and now Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That, and also I've played a few Marvel games growing up, so like the story that's going on in the MCU universe is not that hard to keep up with. So despite me not having any MCU street cred or whatever you want to call it, I still actually enjoyed the Multiverse of Madness for what it was as a Marvel movie, even if I haven't seen any of it before. Like, they do a pretty good job of like characterizing these characters that, you know, you can kind of pretty much already get a grasp of who and what they are due to their personality alone in the dialogue and all their jibber jabber. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this review. Now, this was the very first Doctor Strange movie that I watched, but from what I noticed in the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange is a dickhead. Like a major dickhead. He's like one of those dudes that are so smart that they know that they're smart and they make it their whole personality to be smart, which leads into them developing into a smart ass. But I will say though that as a Marvel vs. Capcom fan in the opening sequence, I was very happy to see Strange fighting Shuma-Gorath, who we can't technically call Shuma-Gorath because, as always with Marvel and copyright things, they can't legally call Shuma-Gorath in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So therefore, he is known as generic alien eyeball number 3. But when I saw Strange fighting he who shall not be called Shuma-Gorath, I was very happy. The kid in me, much rejoicing. And speaking of kids, I'm not gonna lie, when Amanda Chavez popped up and got saved by Strange, and she literally did nothing but got behind Strange and just sitting there just chilling as like this alien demon is like throwing skyscrapers across baseball fields, I was just sitting there like, bitch, are you gonna move out the way too, or do you want to be made into a potato? And then of course you see her get to safety eventually. Strange saves the town, and you know, she ends up telling Doctor Strange that she can travel through multiverses, and because Wanda's got big ass ears, she of course figures out and realizes that this kid Amanda Chavez has the ability to go through multiverses. And you know what Wanda's baby stricken soul decides? She decides to kill somebody else's child so that she can experience a life with her own kids. Boy, I bet Wanda is on that dank stuff. Needless to say, Strange wasn't having it. Wanda said bet, and that led to this 2-hour war between Strange and Wanda, or Scarlet Witch, however you want to identify her. And I'm not gonna lie, this movie was freaking lit. Like, I was not expecting to enjoy this movie. But I do like the fact that these two Avengers fought each other and made the reason entirely different from Civil War, which was the conflict between Strange and Wanda was really more human. It was more emotional. It was more grounded. It was more relatable. And the fact that they, despite these two beings being super powerful heroes, at the end of it all, at their core, they're both still humans. They both still have wants and desires and needs. And these desires sometimes gets in the way of what the greater goal is, which is making sure that humanity is saved. I'm glad that they went with that particular sort of conflict instead of something like where, as usual in a Marvel property, a hero is fighting a bad version of himself, which is what Strange does do later in the same movie, which is fighting Evil Strange, I believe he's dubbed. But even despite that, at least that's more of a sub and not the main conflict, which is both Wanda and Strange being two heroes that are longing for a particular more human desire, which is love. Strange is on the side where he realizes that what's gone is gone and there is no brute forcing his way into obtaining what he wants, which is, I believe her name is Christine. He just realizes that his chance, his opportunity, the window there, it's long gone, it's long been gone, and all he can do is just pretty much accept it for what it is and just face the heartbreak that comes with it. Whereas with Wanda is still in a place of mourning from the fact that the love that she did obtain, the love that she did have, the love that she did enjoy, the love that was hers, he no longer exists. By him no longer existing, all of these other necessities and desires that requires for him to be there no longer have a future, which is she can't have kids without Vision. She cannot, raise a family without Vision. These two particular views really do a good job in pretty much showcasing the more human aspects of these heroes, and does it in a way where it's actually kind of relatable to us rather than two heroes deciding whether or not they should take their masks off for government benefits. Wanda and Doctor Strange was more of like Strange being like, Wanda, you can't do this. This is unreasonable as a hero. While Wanda is over here very heartbroken about the events that have taken place and led to Vision's death in her universe. Her pretty much telling Strange like, you're full of shit and I'm gonna call you out on your BS because you've done some messed up things too, but you've claimed that you've done these messed up things in the name of heroism and in the name of justice. You giving that time stone to Thanos. Do you really call that being a very moral thing to do? But if I decide to do something that's very callous, like kidnapping a child so that I can steal her powers, so that I can go to other multiverses where I have children and pretty much hold those kids hostage, why does that make me the villain? And I'm over here saying, you go, Wanda. That's right. This movie really felt like the actual conclusion to WandaVision more than it felt like a Doctor Strange movie. Of course, like Doctor Strange is the prominent hero of the movie, but when I tell you that Elizabeth Olsen did a fantastic job as Scarlet Witch and as Wanda, and I love the way that Elizabeth Olsen played her part. There were times where it felt like there was like Ring references or the grunge references. Like Elizabeth Olsen played her part, like the way that she was able to just like pretty much command the entire movie and present the scornfulness of a mother that the Scarlet Witch feels. I was pretty impressed. Like there's the part where pretty much she confronts Strange at Doctor Strange's creepy mansion. I'm just kidding, I don't really know, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a temple or something. Strange already knows that she's not there to compromise on anything. The talk of course goes to fail. When Wanda attacks Strange, all of these warriors have already been lined up to pretty much preemptively defend Strange in case she does do something, which she does, and they are effective in doing so. But man, the way I tell you that she was searching for any little weak-minded soul to just come and whisper in their ear and tell them like, you don't want to be here. All they do is give you saltine crackers and tomato soup for dinner. Do you really want to eat tomato soup for dinner all the time? Like the way they have the shot set up where she gets like in the mind of this like one kid who's like holding up the shield, and she whispers in his ear. Actually, she whispers in his mind to run, and then he runs, and it's all like, I was just sitting there like so shocked. Like I know that like they've already alluded to how powerful Wanda is, and of course in WandaVision you see her literally hold an entire town hostage. What's even more concerning is the fact that if she does get Amanda Chavez's powers, then that means she could hold multiverses hostage. And Strange is very aware of this, to which he goes, now I gotta plead the blood of Jesus on this one. You must be stopped. And I think it's pretty cool to see all the horror aspects that they put into this movie. Like they pretty much made Scarlet Witch xenomorph from Aliens. Like that is just how commanding and dominating that she becomes in the movie, where Strange is literally running away from her when she like eventually infiltrates the temple and Strange puts her into this like illusion box or something. I can't really remember what it's supposed to be, and she finds out that she can like phase through like reflections, and so she starts like killing dudes off by using like the reflections of the puddles in the room. I was like, she is more than a woman. And she keeps this dominating presence throughout the entire movie, especially to like the third part where Strange, the man of Chavez, makes it to this particular dimension where the Strange of that time is actually dead, and they end up going in front of the board of superheroes, which are named the Illuminati. So this is where they show off Reed Richards with John Krasinski, and also, you know, they show off the guy Patrick Stewart, and they also show off, I believe, a Captain British or Captain Britain, and they also show off a new Captain Marvel. Oh, and I don't know the other name of this hero, but he's apparently a hero that I believe doesn't speak, because if he speaks, he can literally kill you with the vibrations coming from his mouth. But not only did I have like a big smile on my face at seeing Reed Richards being presented, but I had the biggest smile when Patrick Stewart rolled into the frame as Professor Charles Xavier. When I tell you, like, I was almost on the verge of tears, because even before they revealed that it's Patrick Stewart, if you listen to the music, you hear the like classic X-Men theme song from the 90s cartoon where it's like like the emotion that I felt, I was like remix. But the sad part about the movie is that that's where the happiness stops. What was insane to see is that despite this lineup of heroes that decided that the Strange in their universe was a threat to be eliminated, when the Doctor Strange of this movie pretty much was telling them, like, you guys know that like Wanda is set off a goddamn bomb when she gets here. I was very confused as to why they were just sitting here like, yeah, she's a lot to handle, but like, we're worried about you because your version of you in our world, he's doing a little too much. He's doing a little too extra. And and our Doctor Strange is just like, you're worried about me, even though this bitch is about to come in at T-5 minutes, popping off fireworks in her hands. Okay, lo and behold, Strange was right, because the way Wanda swooped in and like slashed that entire Illuminati lineup, I was flabbergasted. Like, I don't really know much about the whole Illuminati thing, but I would assume that these Illuminati members, they're supposed to be like the strongest in the universe, right? Or at the very least, like pretty stronger than, you know, the other heroes. So to see the way that Wanda packed every single one of them up, same day shipping, zero handling fees, I think more than anything, it made me fall in love even more with Wanda. Ma'am, you are taking no names and leaving no bodies behind. Like, I'm sorry, but that movie was Elizabeth Olsen's. Like, that's really all I can say. That movie was Elizabeth Olsen's and hers alone. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I give props at the fact that it's not a cookie cutter Marvel movie anymore. Those weird Marvel formulas that they were doing with the previous movies are kind of here and there to some extent, especially with the dialogue parts and the exposition that they add into the dialogue. That's, of course, kind of like standard Marvel formula, but as far as like the creativity that's in the movie and the visual effects and the way that they present Strange and Amanda Chavez like transporting, throughout like all these different multiverses before landing in the multiverse where most of the third half or second half takes part in. Like, it's a very visually aesthetic film that honestly genuinely made me forget that I was watching a Marvel movie. Like, they did things that were very different from the Marvel movies that I have seen and pretty much gave this movie its own identity, I guess you could say. I don't know if maybe this is a thing that they've been doing more with standalone character movies. Maybe somebody who has watched these MCU movies can, you know, expand upon that in the comments down below. But as far as I know I've only seen like, you know, like two of them. I've only seen Black Panther and Captain Marvel. And even when I compare those two movies to this Doctor Strange movie, I have to say this Doctor Strange movie blows those other two out of the water. Like, this movie blows those two into another multiverse. And also, one last thing I want to leave this video off with is that I've noticed that when it came to the endings for some of these Marvel movies, a lot of them kind of don't really leave a big mark, if that makes sense. I don't really think that I've seen, out of all of the Marvel movies that I've watched so far, they don't really leave a ending that sort of makes you sit there and just kind of like reflect, I guess, on what all has taken place. When Zombie Strange ends up saving Amanda, and Amanda opens up that portal to where Scarlet Witch sees another variant of herself with the kids and tries to take those kids from that variant, and she ends up seeing that like these kids are fucking scared of her. I found it very refreshing for a Marvel movie that a hero finally realized that the dark road that they were like starting to turn on, actually screws starting to turn on, that they were already walking upon and like fully about to just start sprinting on that road. I think it's pretty cool to see them actually realize that even though they had good intentions, even the very thing that they are fighting for and wanting to desire, they don't even know if that very thing that they want is going to fully accept them or see them in the same light that they see themselves. Like, one of the things that she's doing the right thing, going to these different multiverses and taking her variant children from them, I think is very compelling when you make those sons tell Scarlet Witch herself, get away from me, bitch, you're not my mom. Like, it's very sad and heartbroken to see, but at the same time, it's a very, very much needed realization that Scarlet Witch herself needed to see, which is the very fact that these children that she bores in these other universes don't actually see her as the role model that she thinks she is, as the most perfect mother that she thinks she can be for them. Instead, they see her as this villain who is coming along and like ripping them from their mother. I think it made her realize that her wanting to have these kids from these other multiverses was more of a vain reason to have. And I think these kids showed her that, like, more than anything, if there's no relationship there, there's no relationship there, no matter how much you might look like mommy. They have a relationship with this variant, not with you in particular, Scarlet Witch. And I think that's what made Scarlet Witch really realize that at the end of it all, despite how much she loved these kids that she's never met, these kids that have never met her have no connection to her, have no bearing to her, and therefore don't want anything to do with her, which I think was pretty right and also pretty sweet of her variant to tell her, don't worry about these kids, they are loved. Isn't that what you wanted in the first place? You wanted these kids to be loved by you, so like, why are you taking them from another variant of you? But that's gonna wrap up this review. All in all, really enjoyed the movie. Even if you haven't watched all of the Marvel movies, honestly, like, this is a pretty good standalone movie where you don't really have to worry about anything. If anything, you would probably want context about why Wanda is about to like blow up the fucking earth and throw it into a blender. Other than that, there's nothing too major that you're missing out on. It was a very good Marvel movie. If anything, I would probably argue that it's been the best Marvel movie that I've seen so far out of the 6, I believe I named, 5 or 6. And yes, that does mean I am putting it above Endgame. Argue with your mama, not me. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed Multiverse of Madness as much as I did. If so, please make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you can be notified when more videos come up on this channel. Like I said earlier, this movie review is it's not necessarily a one and done kind of thing, but I don't really do these, you know, non-gaming reviews unless I really enjoyed watching whatever I was watching. Or if you're interested in checking out some of my gaming content, you should subscribe for that as well. But until the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, peace.